I've raved before about LAiV's ecosystem of products. That's LAiV, L-A-I-V. I love the way they've all been designed to share the same black and gold or silver and gold aesthetic, how they use the same types of displays and fonts consistently, and how they're generally well priced for the exceptional performance they provide. Well, the GaNM monoblocks from LAiV are different. LAiV sent these to me for review, but they have no influence over this video. First, there was the Harmony DAC at $2,700 US. Although not class leading as such, it did offer excellent sound in one of the nicest overall product packages that I've ever used. Then the HP2A preamp and headphone amp came along at $2,700 US, and that turned the value up a notch or two. Not just on its own, although it is a wonderful headphone amp and preamp, but by being such a perfect pairing with the Harmony DAC, that I struggle to not have it on my desk in my regular use source chains, even though I often don't have space for it. Together, the Harmony DAC and HP2A sound fantastic, and they're just so great to interact with. Of course, LAiV have also produced the Micro DAC and the Micro DDC, but this video is directed more at people looking to set up a truly high-end system. Not that the Micro DAC or the Micro DDC couldn't be part of that, but if you're going fully high-end, you'll probably be going for the Harmony DAC. That's more my point. With the GaNM monoblocks, LAiV are harnessing the power of gallium nitride, or GaN, to create some compact and powerful Class D amplifiers. Once again, they have the same black and gold design, or silver and gold if you prefer, and I think it looks great. They also have displays on the front here using the same approach as their other devices. That means that your whole system, including your speaker amps, can look the part. If you're not a fan of the black and white displays though, all of their devices can be set up to have the screens turn off, and you can set up the monoblock so the displays only come on when you're interacting with them. These monoblocks have 3 different display modes. The first one is off, another one has the LAiV logo showing on the front, or you can have a vertical VU meter that's going to show you how much power the amplifier is currently putting out. What I particularly like about the VU meter is that LAiV have provided a wide range of power levels it can work within, or power ranges. It can go from 0 to 50 watts if you're in a small room or a near field setup, or you can go to the 100 watt or the 200 watt range if you're operating in a larger space. And that's only about how sensitive the VU meter is, not how much power the amps are capable of putting out. Basically, the idea is you can set up the sensitivity of the VU meters so that they show minimal movement, or they jump around like a flea that's dosed up on caffeine and standing on a hot floor. The amps even have simple illuminated left and right indicators in case you forget which is your left and which is your right, or you can play tricks on your friends and switch them both to left or both to right to mess with them, or you can switch them off as well. Around the back, there are XLR inputs, sadly no RCA inputs, some high quality binding posts, 12 volt trigger sockets, and a power socket. Being monoblocks, that's all there is to it. These are power amps in the sense that all other controls such as volume is going to come from upstream, from your preamp or your DAC. But I said before that these marked a change of sorts in LAiV's approach. It's clearly not aesthetics and design language, and it's not power. These are as powerful for speakers at 200 watts into an 8 ohm speaker as the HP2A is for headphones. What sets these apart just a little bit from other LAiV devices is their price. Unlike the Harmony DAC and the HP2A preamp that each come in at under $3,000 US each, the GaNM amps are $4,454 US per pair. That's not actually expensive in the scheme of high quality power amps, but it is a bigger jump than I expected when compared to the pricing of LAiV's other products. I guess that just means these must be even better. First things first, these are tiny for the amount of power they produce. And on top of that, they stay surprisingly cool even after extended use. They do get warm, but only gently warm in my experience. That could partly be because I'm running a near field setup, and so they're really going to be putting out much more than 5 watts or so at any time into my speakers. But other amps I've tried under the same exact use conditions do get a lot warmer. Something else to mention about the GaNMs is that internally they are a fully balanced design. What that means is that both the negative and positive signal paths that end up going to your speakers are discrete, separate circuits from one another. That means that any noise that is generated within the amp is going to get cancelled out by the fact that one is in the negative, one is in the positive. When they come together, any noise added to both is completely removed. It's the same idea as how balanced XLR interconnects do the same thing, that is, cancel out noise. And so everything looked good on paper with these. I was listening via the Volumio Revo Plus streamer, feeding into the Chord M scaler, into the Chord Dave, and then onto the Burson Soloist Voyager headphone amp and preamp. I then had the GaNMs driving my ProAC Response D2R speakers. Now you might be wondering why I didn't use the HP2A preamp for this test, or the Harmony DAC for that matter, and that's because the gear I was using was even higher level and I wanted to see just how good the GaNMs were. Straight away with the GaNMs on amplification duties, the timbre of the piano in Helen's song was spot on. Imaging was also fantastic, with the drums well focused in the center, but also clearly stepped back a little bit in the soundstage. The piano in this track has been mixed to fill both channels and sound huge. The double bass, on the other hand, was really precisely placed in space and very well controlled. As I turned the volume up uncharacteristically loud for me, everything retained its sense of control, refinement, and naturality. It was all still very composed and very clean. Basically, the speakers were performing identically, playing at low levels as they were at louder levels. The only difference was things were louder or they were softer. As the volume increased though, the instruments got a greater sense of authority and realism thanks to the extra loudness, and it was starting to sound like a live performance here in my office. So the GaNMs sounded great. That was very clear. What wasn't clear just yet was if they were $4,500 great. At about the same time as I started auditioning the GaNMs, I was also producing my review of the SMSL PAX, another GaN-based Class D speaker amp. The PAX amplifiers are much cheaper than the GaNMs, coming in at about $1,400 for a pair of the PAX. Putting the PAX against the GaNM shouldn't have been a fair comparison. And it wasn't. The GaNMs were significantly more resolving and more refined than the excellent PAX amps. The GaNMs also delivered a much better sense of space, three-dimensionality, and depth in the soundstage. This test proved to me that what I had just heard earlier was actually the real deal. These are some special amps that take musical realism to a level that you're going to have a very difficult time matching, probably you're never going to match with cheaper Class D amps. Of course though, that now meant that the question became, just how high could these take us? What was the ceiling for the GaNMs? My other monoblocks of choice are the Burson Timekeeper Voyagers. At $9,300 for a pair of the Timekeeper Voyagers with their upgraded Fusion Core power supplies, they're more than twice the cost of a pair of GaNMs. Once again, it wasn't a particularly fair comparison. The Timekeepers did take the sound to another level of performance again, with more transparency and an eerily lifelike presentation. Compared to the GaNMs, with the Timekeepers there was again even more space around each sound and more space in the overall soundstage. The Timekeepers also focused the image just a little bit better and gave a clearer sense of the boundaries of that soundstage. However, tonally, the GaNMs were very, very similar to the Timekeepers, and they were absolutely not shamed in this test. The GaNM's performance is right at the level that I would expect for the price you're paying, and maybe even a little bit above. They might be a little bit better than what the Harmony DAC and the HP2A are capable of getting out of them, and that's a good thing. It means they're definitely not going to hold back the system and help to lift it to the highest possible level it can achieve. Paired with the LAiV stack of the HP2A and the Harmony, the GaNMs are both a visual and a sonic pleasure. They switch on and off seamlessly with the 12-volt trigger system, they can be as lit up or as subtle as you want them to be, and they're so compact and thermally efficient, in other words they don't get too hot, that you can place them pretty much anywhere you want to. They're even designed to stack on top of each other if that's helpful. Once again, LAiV's apparent vision of a complete ecosystem of audio products is unfolding beautifully with another addition here. Don't be put off by the relative jump in price when compared to the Harmony DAC or the HP2A, because the LAiV GaNM monoblocks are absolutely performing to the price that you're paying for them. They're leagues better than any other amp I've heard up to their price, even if there are no doubt still more expensive amps out there that sound even better still. After all, in this hobby there is always something more expensive and better. As always, I put links in the description down below where you can jump through to LAiV's website and see more if you want to. And if you want the perfect source chain to go along with the GaNM monoblocks, I've pinned a video here at the end that's going to get you started on that journey. So watch that one next. But for now, a huge thanks to YouTube channel members, also to channel Patreon members, and to those of you who leave super thanks on videos like this one. And until next time, happy listening, be kind to each other, and I'll see you here again soon on Passion for Sound.